One of the things we learn in body language is not only the way a person expresses things with facial impressions, hands movements, the way he stands, he sits, the shoulders, but many times it also relates to the breathing of a person. Breathing have a lot to do with a person's state of mind at that moment. There was a study by Pierre Philippat, and he said he came to a conclusion that the breathing of a person is closely related to the emotions of a person. And the reason for that is we tend to breathe according to the way we feel. A person that's happy would have a slower breathing and more shallowy. A person that's scared, is under stress, is under anxiety, he would breathe quicker and a heavier breathing. That's the way we can tell what's a person's state of mind at that moment. Even if you don't speak to him face to face, because you're speaking to him on the phone, you hear a message that he left you, or anything like that, you can tell if he's under stress, if he's scared, if he's at a state of fear, just from the way he breathes. You listen closely, you'll be able to tell. The reason for that is because when a person is under anxiety, fear, depression, he goes from a mode of calmness to a mode of alert. The body increases blood flow, the heart pumps quicker, because that is now the time to be under alert. Make sure that you are not being, since you're in danger, you're not being attacked, alarmed in any way. And that is because the brain sends a message to the body to start producing a hormone called adrenaline. That hormone is known to be the fight or flight hormones, which means once the body produces that, the hormone knows to look for any danger or deal with a very, very hard situation for the person to deal with. And therefore, since that hormone is produced, the body starts pumping more blood, the heart starts pumping quicker, and you start breathing quicker and heavier. And therefore, at that time, you are completely focused at the things you need to be focused. If somebody comes and talks to you about other things, you don't have an ear for it. You can't hear it well. You're not listening. Moreover, sometimes a person can't listen at all if he's in a very bad state of stress or depression, something bad happened. Chazal tell us, don't even bother at that time. The Mishnah in Avot says that at that time, leave him alone. רבי שמעון בן אלעזר אומר, it's משנה in אבות פרק רביעי, אל תרצה את חברך בשעת כעסו. In the time that he's angry, don't try to appease him. אל תנחמנו בשעה שמתו מוטל לפניו. If he has a dead person in front of him, that's not the time to give him tanchumim, to give him mourning words. Rashi says it doesn't have to be only מתו מוטל לפניו. Rashi says שמתוך שצרתו עומדת בפניו אינו מקבל תנחומים. At the time of the tzara, of the pain, of the anguish, of the problem, he's not going to listen to you. Don't try to tell him words of comfort. He's not listening now to words of comfort. Rabbeinu Yonah says, אל תנחמנו בשעה שהמת מוטל לפניו, כי בשעת העיצבון, at the time that he said, at that very moment, הנחמה מוספת עליו כעס. If you try to appease him, you try to comfort him, it makes him more angry. And therefore, one needs to be very careful. One can say some things that are such as, I'm here for you, I understand you're going through a very hard time, but to tell him things are going to be okay, things are going to be all right, don't worry about it, those things don't come to the person, he doesn't listen to it, it doesn't enter into his heart. And that is because right now he's in a state of sadness, a state of depression, state of stress, and so on. And that is what happens in our Parashat. Parashat Vaera. Moshe Rabbeinu is commanded to go and speak to Am Yisrael. Am Yisrael is not listening to Moshe Rabbeinu. The Torah says, וידבר משה כן אל בני ישראל, ולא שמעו אל משה. They didn't listen to him. מקוצר רוח ומעבודה קשה. Two reasons. קוצר רוח, they were under stress, and עבודה קשה, they were overworked. Rashi tells us, מקוצר רוח, לא שמעו אל משה, they didn't listen to him. What does it mean? לא קיבלו תנחומים. He tried to make them feel better. He tried to give them some comforting words. It didn't go through לא קיבלו תנחומים. Why? מקוצר רוח. כל מי שהוא מצר, anybody that under stress and in pain, רוחו ונשמתו קצרה, his breathing is short, which means he breathes quickly, instead of regular, he breathes very quickly, ואינו יכול להאריך בנשימתו, he can't breathe in length. Look at that explanation of Rashi to the body language we are learning today. Beautiful. And we need to know that that is the reason Am Yisrael could not listen. They couldn't listen because at that time they were bekotzer ruach. The way the Gur Aryeh explains over here, mikotzer ruach, why they were under stress, שהיו דואגים על המלאכה שהם צריכים לעשות. They were constantly worried to finish and meet the quota they have to do. Because they have a quota and they're not going to meet that quota, they're going to be beaten up, they're going to be punished harshly. So that's fear and that's stress. Such a thing doesn't allow you to open the ears to comforting words. What does it mean מעבודה קשה? Says the Gur Aryeh, the Maharal, שהיו חלשים ולא היה דעתם מיושבת עליהם, לכך לא שמעו עליהם. They were overworked, they were weak. When a person is very weak, he's overworked, he can't listen to anything. What a beautiful explanation over here that we can understand how to deal with people. The Torah teaches us over here, the Torah teaches us in Pirkei Avot, in many, many places. For instance, by Hannah, when Eli sees her speaking, she was praying to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He thought that she was a shikora, she was drunk. So he asked her, Ad matai tishtakrin, why are you getting drunk? So she told him, Lo Adodi, you're not a master, you didn't understand what's happening. Isha keshat ruach anochi, I'm keshat ruach. What does it mean keshat ruach? Simple understanding is, I'm depressed, I'm not happy, I'm under stress. I don't have a child so many years, understand it. But what kind of language uses the terminology keshat ruach? Hard of wind, hard to breathe. She was hard to breathe. That's the way you explain depressed. That's the way you explain somebody in pain, in anguish, in sorrow. How? Keshat ruach. And that's what we're learning today from our parasha. When you see somebody keshat ruach, you see somebody that can't hear, mikotzer ruach u'ma'avoda kasha, he can't hear you saying comforting words. But you could tell him that you're there for him. You could tell him you understand. You can sympathize and empathize with him at that moment.